But let's stay in Pretoria. We catch up now with Samkele Maseko, a senior reporter. Samkele, what's happening at the union buildings on your end of the city?
Well, Naledi, at this point in time, those whom are here to commemorate this historic day in South Africa's contemporary politics and political history are arriving in their numbers at this point in time and waiting on the marches, which my colleague Nozintombi Mia will be coming with, whom are about 2 kilometers away from the union building to remember that historic march when women marched to the doorstep of the citadel of power, marching against the oppressive apartheid regime. But women of today are faced with different struggles from women of yesteryear who are fighting for the political liberation of this country. Women of today are fighting for their economic emancipation. They are fighting against gender-based violence. They are fighting against salary discrepancies in the sporting, in the business, and in the public sector as well. I'm going to bring in the Deputy Minister of Sports and Recreation, Culture Nocawe Mafu. Deputy Minister, just the essence of the struggles of women. We saw glaring patriarchy when it came to the issues pertaining to record holders, pioneers in the form of Banyana Banyana, the salary discrepancies between a successful Banyana Banyana and, one may say, a dismal Bafana Bafana. What can we read into that patriarchal outlook of what happened with SAFA?
Thank you, Samkele, and good morning to the viewers at home. We are here at Union Buildings lawns to actually commemorate the 1956 march, which is the 68th anniversary, to think about it. The struggle has been that long. And yes, Samkele, the struggle continues for women in South Africa, particularly around the issues of socio-economic, because the theme for this year is talking about socio-economic improvement for women empowerment, which is probably so apt, but should we be having that theme at this time? Because that's what should have been automatically happening, which is not happening. And of course, in the area of sport, you know that when it comes to women's sport, the struggle has been immense. The inequality in men and women in sport is something that has been said and talked about for many years. But we are, heartened by the fact that there seems to be a little bit progress in terms of the fact that both the media and the people in general are starting to talk about these issues more prominently than they used to. And they are making it known to the country that it cannot be that at this time we are still talking about that. We are so happy by the fact that when the issue of the Banyana Banyana came up, Samkele, people of South Africa stood up and said it can be, they should be treated equally, equal pay for everybody. We were very happy. When it came, I was watching Sakina this morning talking about how the announcement of the Springbok team yesterday and the announcement of our teams, both Banyana Banyana and Netball, was so different. You could smell money when the Springbok was being announced. You could smell poverty when Banyana Banyana and Netball was being announced. That's not supposed to be at this time. We should be making sure that equality permeates throughout. But because patriarchy has been so entrenched, and patriarchy is not something that must be fought by women alone, Samkele, we must all fight it equally in this country, because once you are able to liberate and economically empower women, you are able to empower the entire country.
When you look at the comments of my colleague Sakina saying that you could smell money with the Springboks, it's a known fact. The Springboks do get a lot of money when they pay for South Africa. But when you look at women, listening to the commentary at the Women World Cup, saying these women are so competitive, yet some of them have to have 2 jobs, their daytime job and the sports, soccer, being their second sport or their second job. And South Africa doesn't even have a professional women's league. And you look at what is happening with the PSL, you go to the second division. Why doesn't South Africa go in towards a way of empowering women within the sporting fraternity? Not just the sporting fraternity as well. Within business, you look at the boardrooms. Boardrooms are largely dominated by males.
Agreed. That's why the discussion right now amongst us as the department and the federations is actually to go that route. With SAFA, that discussion is intense. With Netball South Africa, we've started to plant the seeds, but it's still at the early stages. We agree 100% fully that the way to go is to have professional leagues. So countries, they are doing well, looking at the fact that they don't have a professional league. That's why the shock of those countries when they saw how Banyana was so competitive, and for them to hear that there is no professional league, I think for us it says a lot about the talent of the women in this country. You saw the top 4 in the netball that has just finished now World Cup. Those top 4 countries are full-time netball players. They don't do anything else. They work, breathe and eat netball because there's a professional league in those top 4 countries. I'm talking Australia, England, New Zealand and Jamaica. So South Africa is in the top 10 of that netball, but yet we are not at the level of having a fully fledged professional league, and that's what the Minister of Sport, Zizu Kodwa, and myself are engaging the federations, because we believe that once we are able to launch those professional leagues, most of our problems are because you are going to have young women and young girls being motivated to actually look at sport as something that they can take as a professional space. And if we don't empower them now, we are not going to be able to bring in talent that is going to be able to help our teams in the country.
Looking at these women, members of the ANC Women's League, they are here to commemorate this particular day. Has this day become politicized to be an event of one political formation that played a pivotal role in South Africa's liberation struggle? Your Helen Suzmans, you go to your Helen Zillis of the Democratic Alliance, your Lindiwe Mazibukos in post-democratic South Africa as a leader of the Democratic Alliance in their particular caucus in the era of former President Zuma. Is enough being done in order to change and have women at the forefront of South African politics?
Look, Samkele, National Women's Days in general are supposed to be days that are commemorated by South Africans across the board, because they are meant to deal with issues of unity in the country and social cohesion. Sadly though, unfortunately, the other races and the other groups don't come to these events, and maybe there's more that we need to do to make sure that we bring them in. Of course, this particular day, 9th August 1956, which that march was led by the Federation of South African Women, which then, of course, the ANC Women's League was very instrumental in it. So the ANC Women's League will always own this day. The ANC Women's League will always participate in this day and celebrate it, because for them it is the day that their struggles as the ANC Women's League together with other women were fought for. But we want to go back to the days where we had Women's National Coalition, if you remember, where we had all other women in. But because of the polarization of the politics in the country, this is what you see, that the National Women's Day becomes one party that celebrates them, which we hope that as this democracy grows and matures, everybody will be able to understand that these National Women's Days are for everybody in the country to celebrate. But we can't stop the Women's League to take it over if the others are not coming in.
I'm sure you were happy not to be a part of these chaotic conferences in Gauteng and in KwaZulu-Natal.
I don't know about chaotic. Those are ANC Women's League conferences. I'm just happy that women are able to put in leadership now, so that we understand that all the provinces have got leadership structures in, because if you don't have women and you don't have women structures ready, you are not going to have proper democracy. You're not going to have proper elections. You need the ANC Women's League structures to have structures so that they are able to lead what is going to happen in the country.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Nocawe Mafu, essentially saying that women are here to commemorate and to look where they've come from that historic march against those oppressive past laws to the struggles of today. going towards women's emancipation in business, in the boardrooms, in the private sector, in politics, in government, and also within the trade union movement, and also in the sporting fraternity, Naledi.